Hello again, this is Brian Copeland talking. Welcome to another edition of Copeland's Corner. Got a great panel. Tom Sawyer, of course, who is my partner in this enterprise and who sits in for me a lot when I'm out. My first show in 3 weeks. I've had some stuff going on, so I appreciate you filling in for me, Tom. Brian Malow is back, and Dana Gould is back. Thanks for doing it, guys. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir.
Please don't be so enthusiastic. So talkative, please.
It's just so hard because there's so little news.
There's so little going on. All right, there's so much, it's like I'm trying to pick and choose. And we'll just
Do you ever choose a story that is a happy story? Is there such a thing?
There will be, hopefully, in 2029, January, hopefully there'll be a happy story then. All right, let's start with this. Elon Musk has turned on Trump. And as of today, when we're recording this, which is Wednesday, he has posted something like, 13 X posts and a diatribe against what a big, beautiful bill or whatever the BS is that they're calling this thing, and just going after Trump. And Trump's trying to figure out how to come back, but he doesn't want to alienate him really alienate him because he spent $250 million getting elected. What's a lot of experts and pundits are guessing is that there's two reasons why this is happening. One is an insider says that the exact phrase was butthurt because one of his picks for a nomination for a federal post was completely disregarded by Trump, and he appointed somebody else. But the other is because Tesla's in the toilet. I mean, Tesla's just in the toilet. I mean, they lost a major contract overseas where the entire fleet of Teslas was coming back. His business reputation is ruined. All this stuff is coming out about how you've got thousands of children overseas in places like Sudan who are dying because of the U.S. aid that he cut. And I mean, the quote from Bill Gates about what's going on with him is really devastating, where he said it's quite a sight to see the richest man in the world taking away food and medicine from the poorest children in the world. Now, I'm paraphrasing. That's pretty much what it is he's saying. So my question is this: do you think there's any way he can rehabilitate himself so people see him the same way by now coming out against Trump and slamming his legislative agenda? Is there anything you think he can do, or is this just done?
Things are so bad for Elon that he's actually selling all of his Nazi paraphernalia.
He's selling.
He's got a booth at Hogan's Heroes Con, which is coming up.
By the way, completely aside, I'm sorry, I would have loved to have been in the room during that pitch. That I just have always thought that ever since. Anyway, go on. Yeah.
How come? I mean, we've known what this bill was going to look like for months. So this sudden, I don't like it. If I've known, I would expect he had a little more insider knowledge than me. We knew what this was going to look like.
Well, his issue was he didn't get his EV credits. He wanted to get his EV tax credit. So like everything, he didn't get what he wanted. So it's garbage.
Yeah.
In terms of his relationship with Trump, you cannot have two sociopathic narcissists can only coexist for an X amount of time. And, it's actually a testament to Trump's innate weakness that he put up with Elon for as long as he did.
And the $250 million.
Exactly. And he didn't have, Lyndon Johnson would have cut him off the day the check cleared.
Yeah.
So in terms of rehabilitating his image, if he was the kind of person that could effectively rehabilitate his image, he wouldn't have done the things that he did to begin with.
Right. They're basically all the things that a drug addict would do. So, because there's nothing in there that makes any sense otherwise to say, oh, he's a drug addict. Of course he would do all these things that are hard right when his business appeals to the far left. People that are conscious about the climate, people who are conscious about who want to do better for the environment. And then they find out the guy that they have been buying their cars from is a Nazi. He had Nazi grandparents, and so it makes sense that everybody is bailing on the Teslas. I mean, if you look at used Teslas right now, they're going for like $22,000 for a year-old Tesla. The dealership,
yeah, my wife has one that we wanted to unload and we can't.
yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Where do you live, Dana?
Los Angeles, California.
So you are living down LA. You're down Southern California. 'Cause I've heard that in like in Beverly Hills and stuff, you had all these environmentally conscious, wealthy people who have been trying to get rid of their Teslas and can't.
Yeah,
give them away.
and we're underwater in it.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, all of these guys, all of these tech bro guys. There's another guy I'm forgetting. I'm blanking on his name. Is Garvin. He was like one of this tech bro think we need to get rid of democracy and have an oligarchy.
Which we do now.
They're all neurodivergent social misfits. That's how, they have the brains that allowed them to become tech giants. But at the end of the day, they just want to be cool and they want to be liked. Mm-hmm. And they get to the point where that's the only thing they can't buy is approval and affection. And when the people that they look to it for normally don't give it to them, which is, because they're in tech, they're naturally dealing with, more leftward thinking people.
Progressive is the word you're looking for.
Thank you. They rebel against it. And it's not akin to their beliefs. It's just a rejection of the people that are rejecting them. And you see this over and over and over because at the end of the day, as everyone here knows, we're still 11 years old on the playground wanting to be liked.
Mm. But here's the thing: you say that they can't buy what it is, which is the love and affection. But I would disagree. I mean, you look for example at what Bill Gates has done. Bill Gates and like Warren Buffett, they're giving away their money. In terms of humanitarian causes, all the places that have lost money from the USA are places that Bill Gates has gone to and visits and gives money. And you look at him and you think, what a great guy, and you love this guy.
Yeah, but he's not buying affection. He's buying goodwill from people because he's putting his money to good use. A great example of where Musk goes wrong is in Wisconsin. He went prancing into Wisconsin thinking he could buy people's votes, putting on a cheese hat, and he got his ass handed to him.
That's right, he did, didn't he?
And
people know a weirdo.
And for all his regrets, so-called regrets for supporting this, I don't see him pulling back on the hypocrisy of supporting the most anti-environmental administration we've ever seen when he used to pretend that was one of his biggest issues.
Yeah. It's just, well, here's, I read something, and there's just so, again, you said there's so much news. There's just so much you can't keep up. You're overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
And it was a question I think I read somebody had posted on Facebook or something that can anybody name, for a guy who's the richest guy in the world, can you name the Musk Hospital or the Musk School of Business Wing or the Musk Scholarship Foundation or the Musk something?
He could end hunger.
Yeah.
He chooses not to. And instead, as I said, he's taking medicine away from people. His world ends there.
Yeah, he's a sociopath.
Yeah,
and if he was smart enough to do, if he was the smart guy everybody thought he was, he would have never bought Twitter in the first place. Because it was a hellscape even before he bought it, and now it's even a bigger reflection of what an asshole he is.
Yeah, so, that's well put. That's really exactly what he turned it into. He turned it into his own id.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching the streaming of the Big Bang Theory on I guess Max is running it, and there was an episode he did. I want to say it's 15 years ago now, maybe, that Elon Musk did, where he's working on Thanksgiving in a soup kitchen to volunteer because that's what he does to give back. I know. But in the context of the times, he was a great guy, an environmentalist, a genius, working on SpaceX and everything else. And so that was, and I'm looking at this now, and it just, it's like watching The Naked Gun. You can't, because as soon as OJ steps on the screen, I'm out. It takes you out of it.
It takes you out of it.
I don't think I mentioned this previously that not today, but on previous appearance. But I once interviewed Elon on the floor of SpaceX. I was making science videos for Time. And I had about 15 or 20 minutes with him. And it's always this weird thing. It was super cool to be able to do that back in 2009.
Yeah.
He was barely a billionaire, and he was a really interesting guy. And it's this shit, barely. And it's just that thing where it happens occasionally, where it used to be cool and then they go and fuck it up. It's like, now I don't even want to tell people I interview. It's not a cool video to share anymore.
Yeah, there are a couple of things like that in my. Have you got stuff like that? A complete aside. Have you got?
I had to burn all my Jeffrey Epstein photos.
They burn themselves. But have you got pictures or things that pop up like in your social media feeds? On the on this date 20 years ago or 10 years ago, whatever, that pop up that you go, ooh, this didn't age well. I got a picture of me that popped up from 2012 of me, my daughter who was in college at the time, my daughter's girlfriend who was in college at the time, sitting holding hands with me and Cosby. I got a picture of my daughter holding Bill Cosby's hand, and I'm thinking, this just didn't age well. And now, I was Smokey Robinson's opening act, and now this stuff that's coming out about Smokey being accused of sexual misconduct. It's like, my daughter's this is the Copeland curse. Basically, everybody I open for sooner or later. But I'm sure, it's so this is done. There's nothing that's going to change people's public opinion of Elon Musk. There's not, if he goes into rehab and he gets clean and claims it was all the ketamine and other stuff I was taking, and that's how I'd absorb, and I'm not anymore. I'm going to my meetings, and
everybody can be rehabilitated, but he would have to do a lot of shit, and it would take a long time. And I don't know if he mentally has the patience for the years it would take for him to be rehabilitated, and he's still not going to be completely rehabilitated. I mean, Louis C.K., sold out Madison Square Garden, right?
Several times.
But he'll never get another TV show for at least maybe, another 10 years or so, because every time people see him on TV or in a movie or something, it'll be, oh, that's the guy who jerked off in front of women at hotels.
He'll never be back in polite society.
Right.
It is true. As his box office wasn't hurt. It's just different people that go to the shows.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually have given a lot of very serious thought to becoming a sexual pest and criminal, but I'm not sure I'm ready for that level of fame.
There is no bad publicity.
I'm not sure I want to sell out a room that big.
Right.
I like the clubs.
Elon and Louis both, they have their fans that they never lost and never will.
Yeah.
I
know people, I know a couple of young Gen Z women who were and millennial women who were fans of Louis C.K.'s before this and go and see him now. And feminists who would describe themselves as feminists, but what they'll tell you is, I'm able to separate the artist from the art.
And that's fine.
I just,
I think two words for you: Chuck Berry. I like Chuck Berry. Yeah. It is that element, but it's in terms of, and regarding going back to what you said about Elon, could he be rehabilitated? Yeah, but he would have to be a different person,
right?
Because he doesn't. Anybody that would do the things that he did it's living proof that you don't have the empathy is empathy.
Yeah,
you have it or you don't.
He doesn't just not have it. He made a pretty strong statement about what he thinks of it.
Yeah.
How do you come back from that?
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, there are things that are being done that if they'd been done, nobody would have dared say things out loud that they have now, tried to make policy. You've got Hegseth, who is trying to strip Harvey Milk's name from a U.S. Navy warship and rename it something else.
He's not trying. He did it.
It's a done deal.
Yeah. Well, they took the name off it today, and they did it during Pride Month, and
that's right. I forgot it's Pride Month.
There's a level of, it's intentional. There's a level of cruelty to all of this that is still hard to come to grips with. That it's all intentional. The cruelty is the point, and I don't
almost think they're saved. They're going, hey, let's save that for Martin Luther King's birthday.
Yeah, no, they love it. They love it, and because we all know that straight, white, heterosexual men have it harder in this society than anyone else. But that is what they believe. And it's just people looking at two different realities. You seem to be optimistic about January 2029. I'm not.
You're not. Well, it depends on whether or not we have a free and fair election.
I think we'll have we'll have it. I just don't. It's funny. I'll just say this. After the election, I said, even if, the Democrats will win the midterms, and even if we win the presidency next, the fact that everybody knew who this guy was and voted for him anyway, just says to me that there's something broken. And I don't care. If Jasmine Crockett is the next president, I'm still just like, eh. And someone said, oh, so you see the country the way minorities do. It's like, yeah. Right.
Well, you're right about the cruelty. I mean, few things shock me. Even the things that he does today, a few of them that actually shocked me. But the one thing that I guess what shocked me about this was just the fact that even if she thought it, the fact that she said it out loud, that Joni Ernst thing. Senator from Iowa, a town hall meeting, trying to defend this horrendous bill. You're going to have 11 million people. That's the CBO estimate today is 11 million Americans will lose their medical care. Most of them in red states. Iowa has been shifting red and voted overwhelmingly for Trump and the cuts in SNAP and somebody said during this meeting she's arguing with people. And somebody said people are going to die, and she says everybody's going to die. I mean, that's her response.
Did you see her apology video?
Oh yeah.
What it is
double down.
Well, what it is what Trump does only applies to Trump. You can say what you want about him. He does have a comedian's timing. He does have a sick charisma.
Yeah.
And
so did Hitler.
Yeah. And Manson, a lot of the greats.
Yeah.
But what that was an example of was somebody who thinks that being cruel is the same as being funny. Yeah. She was clearly thinking she was being funny, and it doesn't work. And the downside is she'll have no
chance of re-election. She's up for re-election.
She's in Iowa. She will no longer be the senator when she decides she doesn't want to be the senator anymore.
Well, she's up for re-election next year, and today there are like 4 or 5 Democrats who jumped into prominent Democrats in Iowa who jumped in to challenge her. They, and the party is worried that her statement is going to cost them nationwide next year. But people's memories are short.
I think it'll cost the Republican brand nationwide. I don't think it will hurt in Iowa. I'll
have to push back on that a little bit, because I think it's at some point there will be a breaking point. And the problem with what she said, especially given the fact that we're only in June of Trump's presidency, and it's been a horror show for a lot of people, and a lot of the people who a lot of those people are still kind of supporting him, haven't really felt the effects of what he is doing.
Right.
And by the time she is in the middle of her running for Senate for another term, they will be feeling it. And my guess is that that'll be the true test of when it breaks the majority or even a minority of Republicans. Even if 25% of Republicans break from what's happening,
right,
that will be enough to lose Iowa. And at some point, either the country breaks or the Republican Party breaks.
Yeah. I mean, look, I would love to be wrong, and I hope that you're right. I'm just so sour. I do think that if just enough people in the middle feel it personally, and that's the thing, they will change their vote when it affects them personally.
Right.
Not their neighbor.
Well, here's the thing,
and that would be that. I was just going to say that will be what breaks it. I do know, and this is why I'm cautious. The DNC is pouring most of their money in Iowa into somebody running congressman named Femboy McWeakling. That's who they're getting behind.
You talk about it having to affect people personally as not their neighbor. There is a story that the Bulwark has got a series. You can go to nj.com and see what it is they're running called The Worst People in the World.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
You love that. And the most recent segment, they write about a woman in Missouri. I'm trying to think of the name of the city in Missouri. I'll get to it. I'll find it. Her name is Ming El Wee, and she goes by the name Carol. And she was arrested by ICE after 20 years of building a life here, a family here. She came from Hong Kong, and she overstayed her visa. And then she got married. She has 3 children. They go to local schools. And ICE arrested her, and she's looking at deportation. Their children, of course, are American citizens. And her entire town, the entire community is rallying behind her. One woman, I sit next to her in church. She wasn't who we meant.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff
yeah.
She wasn't who we meant.
We didn't mean anybody we knew.
Yeah, we thought, that she's good people. And the editor of the Bulwark, his response to this, a commentary on this, is he says that they did this to Carol themselves. They did this to Carol themselves because all these people are saying that this is not what I voted for. He's saying, yes, it is. You did it to Carol yourselves. He says they're idiots. They have no empathy. Their response is empty virtue, signaling that they caused the harm to their friend, but express no remorse or contrition. They cannot imagine. And here's the thing, and I guess that has to do with I'm sorry, if you're in MAGA, this is it. You cannot imagine a world outside of your own experience. And I thought that was very well put. They look at things only as they affect them. And so this thing with Carol possibly being deported, no, leave her alone. She's one of the good ones. And he says there are Carols in every state that has
on every block, in every town
that has ICE, raiding the donut shop or the elementary school.
I didn't mean my nanny. I didn't mean my gardener. I didn't mean my housekeeper. Mm-hmm. I meant the everybody else I didn't know and didn't like and was scared of for no reason. Not that I've seen them.
Yeah.
What do you think that anybody can truly hide behind the defense that they didn't know what they were voting for?
And it is. I'm curious if Carol voted for Trump.
Right. Well, they say that most people in that town did, and if she's been living there 20 years, she's got to be like-minded. You have a tendency to
you saw a lot of Latinos justifying their vote, saying, "Well, he's only going to go after the criminals."
Yeah,
and he's just like, "Yes, he thinks that you are one of them."
Yeah, but don't you think I feel a little alone on this amongst all of our friends? In that, yes, many of them are racist, homophobe, anti-trans, bigots. But don't you think there are some that really thought that we're in such information silos? Some of them, I think, truly believed that that he's only going after this. They've bought into the idea that there's been a flood of really nasty criminals, and they really did kind of think that. And they
agree. I think you're right, but I just have no sympathy for people that's stupid.
No. Yeah. And it means also that you
By the way, when I say that, I include my entire family. No, my really? Dad, my brothers, my sister, they all live in Massachusetts. They're all
in Massachusetts.
Well, you get out of the
in
Boston,
Massachusetts.
Right? It's rural versus city, right?
You get 40. I live 45 minutes out of Boston. You're done. You're toast. It's gun racks and camo hoodies, and it's like any place else.
Yeah.
And these people, it's like, I understand that you believe this. Tough.
People upset that their survival food is going to expire.
Yeah. It's just like, sorry, I don't have any sympathy for you.
And the other reason for no sympathy is, even if you really believe that, there's every other thing that we've seen about Trump's personality for 10 years, where even if you totally believe that, you see how fucking obnoxious he is and how rude and like, if you're a Christian, how can you possibly think this is the right candidate? Yeah.
And it's not just racism. I mean, it's a huge part of it, but there's a lot of non-white people that like, it's, in terms of when the economy is in trouble, people retreat, they look for security and strength. And these people live in an information silo that tells them the economy is a lot worse than it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the economy was actually,
because the president was a Democrat.
But also for a lot of people, it is. And the problem there is, since the Supreme Court made it all right to bribe politicians, we have one party that completely gives into its base, plays right to the base, and plays every racist trope that they want to hear, and another party that runs so far from their base, the base is asking for crumbs, and they're not getting them from our party. And it's really disturbing and really annoying that we have a party that constantly ignores what we vote them in to do.
Yeah,
so everybody's in a rock and a hard place in this, and that's what drives me. And the Democrats are still doing it by not having a populist agenda that the country wants, that polls well with everybody. The overwhelming majority of Americans want a national health care system, and we can't get it.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to pay for it.
Well, if you take a look at the interview that I did with Eric Swalwell a few weeks ago, and it's available you can look at it on YouTube and part of the Copeland's current network, as well as listen to it. It's called Conversations with Copeland. I'll do them periodically. This is the first one. And he said that what Swalwell says is that what the problem here is that what the Republicans do is they will pick one thing. And no matter what the public says, and no matter what the public sentiment and the sentiment of the voters of the majority is, they will hammer and message over and over and over and over again on this one thing. Whereas with the Democrats, they're scattered. They can't pick what the one thing is. They will look at what the data is. Oh, here's what's trending. So here's what we're going to talk about today. As opposed to, I think, Swalwell's thing is gun safety and bump stocks and all that kind of stuff. And rather than sitting down and picking that one fight and focusing everything on it, they'll look and say, oh, today this is polling, so we'll do that. This is where we're gonna aim all of our fire. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. They run focused.
It's easy to stand back and not be in politics and say what it is, but they do seem to me to run to not lose.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
But they don't run to win. They don't tell me what they are going to do. It's just like, and that's the thing with like Trump is a, once in a generation historical anomaly in terms of a combination of sociopathy, charm, appeal. He's a historic figure in that regard. They don't know what to do, and they have the I think they're just terrified of their own shadow. They don't know how to respond. And the response is, it's Watergate every day and no one cares.
No, it's worse.
So you're going to have to tell me that, so you're going to have to tell me what you're going to do, because nothing you're going to tell me about this guy is going to change my mind.
It's interesting when you talk about a once in a generation, and I keep seeing people talk about how history is going to look at Trump and this, that, and the other thing. I think about the things that I learned in school about Joe McCarthy and about McCarthyism, and we were all taught, our generation, we were all taught that he was a villain. He was a villain who was and power crazy, who destroyed people and destroyed people's lives, and literally people died because of his lies and his misinformation in order to grab power. That's how we viewed him. And the thing that we were taught as well was that, once he was called out by Joseph Welch, the "have you no shame" on live television speech, that was the end of it. He's censured, then he dies of cirrhosis. Well, I saw a documentary that showed his funeral. There were thousands and thousands and thousands of people at Joe McCarthy's funeral after that. So it's just, I got to tell you, I just have a hard time having faith in the American people. Or having a belief that somehow we're going to get to a place where we don't have the number of people drinking the Kool-Aid who are the percentage of Americans drinking the Kool-Aid who've been drinking the Kool-Aid since 2015 now.
Yeah, I think if you look at I don't know if Martin Luther King Jr. ever had over 50% approval rating with the American public. But sometimes you just have to force the right thing down people's throats. As World War II is a great example. We did the right. It's what Ben Franklin said. We did the right thing after. I don't know. It was Ben Franklin. It was Churchill who said this. You can always count on America to do the right thing after they've exhausted every other option. And that's true. And that's. It's the same thing now. People will turn it against Trump when he evicts their nanny, when he costs them money.
Mm-hmm.
I want to repeat something Dana said in slightly different words, which is just that thing about we react. The Democrats react and the Republicans are acting. They've had Project 2025, for instance, 900-page strategic plan for years. And Trump just does what he wants to do. And we are always only reacting, like very little, maybe Bernie and AOC try to pick up the reins a little bit and lead in a direction. But other than that, we are just constantly reacting to every stupid thing they do. And they're acting.
I just checked, by the way, just an aside real fast. I just went on chat. I was curious about what you said about Martin Luther King's approval rating. And so what chat found is that 1966 Gallup poll, Martin Luther King, his disapproval rating was 63%. Only 33% of Americans viewed him favorably in 1966. And this is after seeing kids, hosed down, with bull.
I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying that's good.
No. I know you're not. But I mean, I never thought about it, about how he was viewed in his time, because he's so revered now. But only a 33% approval rating. Good Lord.
Well, there's probably still like 40 something percent, like the low 40s percent that would get rid of Martin Luther King birthday as a national holiday tomorrow, even though it gives them a day off, for God's sakes. They would still get rid of it.
Did we have approval ratings in the time of Lincoln?
Well, when you look at the Tea Party and the rise of this, I mean, the virulent, as my friend Mike Murphy says, we've gone from "I'm right, you're wrong" to "I'm right, you're evil."
Yeah.
And you can really put that into the beginning of the Clinton administration with Newt Gingrich and Rush Limbaugh out of politics. Mm-hmm. But the election of Barack Obama, I don't think people really appreciate how violently that broke a lot of people's brains. Mm-hmm. My father, people cannot, couldn't wrap their head around it, because they always thought, well, I'm better than a black guy.
Well, that was the lie.
Right.
That was the
Yeah,
lie. Is
it's like-
that the worst white man is better than the best black
Right.
man,
And they
than the best
couldn't,
black man.
and they couldn't say that anymore.
You know, Barack Obama himself has said that looking back now, he thinks that his presidency came 10 years too early.
Or, you know,
Right? I think it would have made a difference.
I don't know. I know David Axelrod said the same thing. I don't know if it was, I don't think, I think if you waited 10 years, it would have still been 10 years too early. I think you just got, it's like, it's like Jackie Robinson, you got to go eat shit.
Yeah. It's a racist country. There's no two ifs, ands, or buts about it. The majority of people in this country are racist. You know, the idea is to get that majority.
And Tom, you might think that's great, but I don't.
It might not be a big majority, Dana.
But see, here's the thing, you know, yes, we can say America's a racist country, but if you look at the breakdown of who voted for Trump, he made the most, you know, inroads this last election with the black vote going up and with the Latino vote going up, especially young black men and young Latino men who would.
Everybody wants to live in the big house.
Yeah, get out of the fields and get out of the sun and come live in a big house. And it just boggles my mind. It's like how you guys, you know, as an older African American man of color who remembers being 24, 25 and guns pointed at my head for no reason, and you know, followed from aisle to aisle in the store and getting pulled over, you know, practically every other time I drove my car as a teenager, being in the early 20s. How does somebody in that demographic today vote for a man who said as a campaign promise, hadn't done anything on it yet that I'm aware of, that he was going to work to give police unqualified immunity in this country so they could never be held legally responsible for anything that they ever did under any circumstances whatsoever?
There's a lot of people of color, a lot of guys of color that like there are a lot of white men of color who treat women really, really badly. And the idea of voting for a black woman it snapped a lot of guys' brains because, you know, we're as racist as we are in this country, we're just as sexist, if not more so.
Yeah.
And she, in her defense, you know, what did she have, 100 days? I mean, she didn't, you know, running. I mean, she was, you know, this is Monday morning quarterbacking. After the day after the midterms, Joe Biden should have done what said, I'm not running against somebody. Yeah. You guys
think
fight
it would have
it
made
out.
a difference? But do you think it would have made a difference?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you think that if she had more time?
Would we have won? But to have someone as the nominee that could have distanced himself from Biden and that had 2 years, I mean, you need 2 to 3 years for the people to get used to you.
The other thing too is you have all these primaries where people are talking about what Trump is doing, that he's a felon, that he's a rapist, that, you know, all of these primaries where that's the main argument was we can't let this felon rapist back in the White House because this is what he's going to do, and that would have been on TV where they're trying to hide Joe Biden. They don't want to let him go on because every time they go on, he reminds them why they shouldn't elect him again because he's old and feeble, and he looks like he's going to get blown over by a breeze. And we can't elect this guy as president. Instead, you have all these other young, viable people in the primary debating how they can help America and make sure that they keep Trump out of the White House. It's a debate we never had.
You know,
Jake Tapper, she did not have a fair shot. She didn't have a fair shot.
Jake Tapper is being vilified by the left and the right for the book that was released. I think it was last week, Tuesday.
Yeah, right.
Last Tuesday, the left and the right about how the decline of Biden while he was in the White House. The left is furious with him for exposing it, and the right is furious with him for not having been part of the media and the press and CNN, meaning he probably knew. Anybody who had contact with the president, they say knew about this, and why are you talking about it now? Just your thoughts. Do you have any? I mean, the book is, I think it's #1. I think the book, and I'm not going to buy it. I don't need to, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to buy it. There's nothing I'm going to learn from it.
Well, also but Trapper's ratings have tanked. I mean, they've seriously tanked. So he might be benefited from a book. And apparently he didn't write this book. And
He
my understanding was he came in late. The other co-author actually wrote it. He came in late, added some stuff to it, but it was mostly written by, was it Jack Thompson?
Yeah.
So Trapper was the name that was going to help sell the book.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But the book bombed
Legitimize it.
because the Republicans are not going to read a book about Joe Biden, and the Democrats don't want to read a book about it's
Why we lost.
Yeah, now is not the time. The house is on fire. I don't care about the wiring. It's like,
I got to tell you,
what color painted.
I disagree with you because it was having a book that came out myself 2 weeks ago. I keep my eye on that stuff, and in terms of Amazon pre-sales, that book was number 3 a week 10 days ago.
But how many people read books?
That's right.
Not as many as should.
And maybe this is a little whataboutism, and it's not new, but Jesus, what's it going to take for there to be dialogue about Trump's state of mind?
Yeah.
Even if he floats the idea that Biden is a robot with increasingly bad dementia.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. On Piers Morgan, I saw this debate where it was like 3 MAGA guys and one person who was a liberal, actually 4, including Piers. But the debate was, you're talking about this thing with Joe Biden now, after Joe Biden's left. He's got cancer. He's probably not going to be with us very, very much longer. You're having this debate now. In the meantime, you have a 79-year-old guy in the White House who can't put together a coherent sentence.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually read the transcripts of anything he says, it sounds like somebody who's hit their head on something once a day is talking to you. So when are we going to have this conversation? Are we going to wait to have this conversation like we do with Biden, after Trump gets in the White House and everything this country is destroyed, and then go, whoa, there's this insider saying that Trump had dementia. Well, we're watching it and no one's talking about it. Instead, we're talking about Joe Biden.
He's too powerful. Who is going to challenge him? Who in the Republican Party would have to come from that side of the aisle?
And it's the same.
Stand up and do that, knowing that they're going to get primaried, and if they stand up against.
And that's the same argument about Biden. Right. It's just institutional lethargy. No one is going to stand up and say, "You need to go." And then one guy did, and he was hated. There was a guy that did run against him, and he was hated. And so, I mean, it is, it's like all those generals telling Hitler, "We're done. We're out of gas. The men are eating their belts." And they walk out of the office. "We can win." It's just
it's the Gipper speech.
It's hard. I mean, you have to give. Look what it took for the Republican Party to finally tell Nixon to go. I mean, it literally got to 24 hours before he would have been impeached by his own party.
Well, here's what's sick is that Nixon would have survived today. Nixon would have survived that.
No,
I don't have a doubt. If I heard that years ago,
he also would have been a Democrat. When you look at his policies, same with Reagan.
EPA came from him.
Do you think the entire Republican Party essentially is in lockstep with everything from the beginning? Do you think that they've been threatened, their lives, their families, and that's why they're on board? Or do you just think
they're terrified of their own voters
completely for other reasons? Yeah.
They're terrified of their own voters.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I mean, if you look at these they're telling them not to hold town halls. But if you see any of the video of any of the town halls in ruby red districts, and again, Iowa is a red state now, where Joni Ernst made that comment, and the people at that meeting practically had pitchforks and torches, and they have no problem saying these things in front of these are their own constituents who voted for them. Everybody in that room probably voted for Joni Ernst and voted for Trump. Yet there they are against her, and they're being
they're not afraid. And they're not, a lot of these guys, they're not afraid they're going to lose their job. They're afraid they're going to get killed.
Yeah.
I'm worried about my family's safety. That's why I don't come across, there's a lot of.
Well, I will tell you, if you look at that interview that I did with Swalwell, he is number one on Trump's and Kash Patel's enemies list. There is there's actually it's not hyperbole. I'm not being hyperbolic, and it's an actual physical list. I never knew. I thought they were just talking about it. There's an actual list. He's number one. Adam Schiff is number two. And he talks about how, he's married. He's got 3 little kids. I'm talking young kid, 4 or 5 years old, little kids. And the money that he has to spend in extra security, as well as for staff, the extra cost and expense, because if you're working in an office that has got the name of the guy who's number one on their enemies list on the door, your safety is at risk. And he said it's actually part of a part of their campaign strategy, because the DNC only has enough money to pay for so much, and after that, you're on your own. And any monies you spend for this have to come out of your own campaign fund, out of your own war chest, and that puts the Democrats, who are really hated, at hated by MAGA and hated by the right.
Well, it's not fiscal disadvantage. It's just not. It's just, look what happened at Jerry Nader's office. Where one of his staff was handcuffed by ICE.
Right.
So this is like, and that's the thing. That's the other thing that drives me nuts, and I don't understand. Where's the outrage in the Democratic Party from somebody in a political office being handcuffed and handcuffed and potentially arrested? This woman's crying, and I'm waiting for the outrage, and I don't hear it. I just think
I think it's what's, there's so many. What dozen things am I being outraged today? It's just like
you can't keep up with everything.
Yeah,
it's
which is by design, and you would hope at some point they exhaust themselves, but evil does not die.
Not All right, here's a quick switch.
This was in the Washington Post this morning, and that is since Trump took over the Kennedy Center, subscriptions are down by 36%. There are boycotts. There have been cancellations. People who've bought these season tickets and subscriptions are not doing it. You've had a lot of prominent people either cancel their engagements. There was a run of Hamilton that Lin-Manuel Miranda pulled. Issa Rae's show got pulled. A large number of the casts of Les Mis. I think Les Mis actually did go on, but went on with a lot of understudies, because a lot of the performers would not go on. Shonda Rhimes resigned as the treasurer. So here's my question to you guys as performers. If you had the opportunity right now to perform at the Kennedy Center, would you do it? I wouldn't. There's not enough money.
No, I'm astounded that 64% of the people didn't cancel.
Yeah, so am I.
It's like 64% of the people are still subscribing to the Kennedy.
But Kid Rock is doing
it's like the Elon stuff. Like, you're going against your base. It's like, who cares about the Republicans? The MAGA people don't care about the Kennedy Center and never did. So you're just going to lose all the people that ever supported it. Yeah.
Well, they say again, it's a thing. Ironically, it's the people. It's it's the tough guy. The hero of tough guys, Trump, is the guy that likes musicals. He hates Springsteen, doesn't drink, doesn't like dogs, and loves Les Mis. Yeah. And he's their guy. I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out.
But it would be like Radiohead. It would be like MAGA saying they're boycotting Radiohead.
Yeah.
We don't.
Okay. Fine.
You have to explain to them who Radiohead is.
Right. No.
Well, that was it. But that reminds me of when there was what was it in the first administration? There was some beef between Nordstrom not carrying Ivanka Trump's line of whatever crap she was pushing, and so you had all these MAGA voters saying that they're going to boycott Nordstrom. Okay.
As soon as we find one, as soon as we find goddamn Nordstrom, we're going to not go in it.
But we ain't gonna buy Fabergé eggs no more, neither.
If you got the gig, couldn't you take the opportunity and the pedestal to make it your last gig at the Kennedy Center?
No, I do. I admire. It's funny. I have performed at the Kennedy Center before. When Biden was president, I performed with Bob Goldthwait. We were staying at the Watergate Hotel. we walked outside and asked the man, the guy's like, how do you get to the Kennedy Center from here? And he goes, you go down to the end of the driveway, take a right, and it's a straight shot. Bob said, maybe not the best way to give directions to the Kennedy Center. But no, I just want, I want nothing to do with it. I don't, I mean, I don't use Amazon anymore. I don't drive my wife's Tesla. I just try to
back up. How are you doing that? How are you avoiding Amazon? Amazon is
something. Well, I did a thing, I wrote a thing a while ago for a PSA that, I wrote it because it never got made. One of the things that Amazon does is if you have let's say you sell ties and you have a company on Amazon that does really well selling ties, a specific kind of ties. And you're really well, you got to give some of your money that you make to Amazon. And then what Amazon will do is they'll hire a third-party company to make ties like yours. And then they'll sink you down in the algorithm and sell their own ties over you. So, so I learned how they do this, and I'm just like, if something is for sale on Amazon, you can get it someplace else. Very, very few instances where I will get I need a specific kind of light bulb or something. I'll go, but normally I don't use it.
I mean, because it's so ingrained. I mean, how many?
Yeah, no, you have to intentionally. Yeah, you've got to work hard to not do it, but you can do it. It doesn't matter. What I'm doing doesn't affect anything, but I just feel gross.
That's exactly. We've all got places like that. Don't we?
I'm sorry, those one-day boycotts.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but a one-day boycott seems so meaningless. But if everyone decided like that, hey, I'm not going to support whatever Walmart, Target. I'm going to start supporting local vendors.
Are they? Are they? That's my question. Are they really? Are they really feeling it?
Sales are down. Sales are down dramatically. Their stock price is down. There are people. This is an active boycott. There's an active boycott going on. They are feeling, and I think that's the only boycott that I've seen that seems like it's effective. I mean, and I don't think there are people out front, picket signs. Not as far as I know. But
I did just see one other. I saw on Reddit the subreddit that's Leopards Ate My Face. Right. It's about McDonald's having the worst slump they've had in years. Yeah. And it showed one of the images of Trump serving French fries. And I don't know if they know that's the link, but that's what
is that the connection to the is that the reason McDonald's
it's because they abandoned their
DEI program.
Yeah, they abandoned it, and that's what the issue is, and it's just gross how we've made this progress, and now they are being so it's not even quietly taking down the murals of George Floyd that were put up.
As I said, white people have been running the show for 2,000 years. Who thought they'd go quietly? Anybody? Anybody at all?
I think what's amazing to me is how many gigantic business people didn't see this, didn't see them losing control of their company, didn't see them losing profit and revenue because of Donald Trump. Even if you paid more taxes, you'd still have a good brand. But there's so many people right now. I mean, Walmart's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars as soon as these tariffs hit, because most of everything on there that they sell in their stores is made in China.
Well, they all thought they could control
the beast.
And they all thought, and it's the hubris of somebody that, there's a certain mentality that becomes the head of a giant corporation.
All you have to do is look at Russia, though, and see how many people had. There was an epidemic of fourth story trip and falls out of windows. Yeah. You don't understand how this works. I mean, Jesus, buy a history book. You sell them at Amazon, for fuck's sake.
I mean, there's there's a level of hubris that it takes to be that person to begin with. You're not going to suddenly have objective self-reflection.
Related topics somewhat. Right before we began recording, there was a breaking story in Variety that Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders voted against CEO David Zaslav's $52 million pay package.
Good.
They voted against it. And I was looking at the list.
It's now 7,052,000.
Well, it's never been, like in 20, I guess the last year, 2024 was 49.7 million in 2022. And they approved all these. 2022 was 39.3 million. 2021, it was 246.6 million. 203 million of that was in stock options. So, two questions here. I mean, it's an enormous amount of money. We can make we can make the argument that, there've been all these proposals where people saying that the CEO should only be able to make a multiple of what the lowest paid employee in that company makes, and so on and so forth. But can't you make a legitimate argument that if your company is doing extremely well, and I don't know how well Warner's is doing, you probably would know better than I would, Dana.
Well, they're selling real estate. They sold their backlot to build a condo on it. So, they're always talking about how broke they are.
Well, and the whole HBO Max naming fiasco. But if you are, and again, I don't even know how well he's doing. I don't know, he's had some misfires, that whole Batgirl thing, where they spent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that Warner Brothers is doing well.
I would guess. But if in fact you are the CEO of the company and it's your decisions that have made that company a fortune, even if it's a large amount of money that you're being paid as the CEO, if you were instrumental in building that fortune that is multiples of what it is that you were asking for in terms of pay, is it? Well, I'll say it. Aren't you entitled to that kind of pay? Yeah, it's gross. Yeah, it's like the head of Costco is the first CEO who I tried to go to Costco because of the CEO who said, no, don't give me a bonus. Take it and spread it out amongst all the employees and who are working.
Why does it all have to be? Why? Maybe that's an argument for why professional athletes over many years went from very low paid to, hey, don't we deserve a piece of the pie? We're the players. But why the CEO alone? Why shouldn't, if productivity is up, why don't the workers get rewarded? Why doesn't everyone get rewarded?
Well, the rising tide thing, and it'll lift all.
And Brian, you're just going to die.
We're all going to die.
We're all going to die.
No, that's the what you say there is really, because they call it, so it's like when they can't even lie in their language. They call it trickle-down economics.
That's right. Reagan.
And since 1980, I believe this maybe goes back a little bit prior to 1980, but the average CEO used to make 20 times what the average worker made.
A fine number.
Right. Now it's 300.
Wow.
And the workers are still waiting for their trickle.
Yeah.
Not the flow. Not the gush, the trickle. They can't even lie when they try to cover it up. You'll get a trickle.
I thought
when somebody pees on you.
I thought just by them calling it trickle down, that their PR people would say, don't say trickle down. Like, that sounds terrible. But they bought it. We all bought it.
Yeah.
It'll trickle down. That's all we're promising is a fucking trickle.
You'll get a trickle.
And you don't even get that.
They're still waiting. And what is this? And what is this tax break? We just need a little bit more. We need a little bit more.
Because they're addicts. They're that's all they are. There's a hole inside them that will never be filled. And where, and as long as they can get another dollar, it's me, mine, I want, they don't care, which is one of the reasons why, like, Elon Musk pays the worst.
That's his black brother, is Leon Musk.
Yeah. He pays the absolute worst of all the auto manufacturers in the country. His wages are so low, almost half. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
I just don't see how we can have a society where we're willing to take away health insurance from 11 million people. And this is life and death. I mean, flat out, it's life and death. I mean, we all know people, before the Affordable Care Act, who were uninsured, who died of things that if they had medical insurance and been able to go for an annual checkup, things that would have been, I've got things that have been caught really, really early. So there's no issue. But if I didn't have insurance and wasn't able to go to the doctor, these things would have progressed, and some of them could have been catastrophic. So to do this to 11 million people for the, not to feed somebody, not because we have to, because we're at war and we're protecting the country and protecting democracy, but for the sole purpose of giving the richest people more.
Yeah.
How do you do that and sell that to the American people with a straight face?
I don't know how they sell it to the people, but I'm kind of pessimistic in that I think when you take all the cuts to science, the cuts to all health initiatives, reporting, monitoring, and when you take this bill and all of its cuts and the rise of AI and the expectation that all these jobs, I think they want people, I think that the intention is for millions of people to die.
Well, I will tell you,
because they don't need that. They will not need them with the rise of these robotics combined with AI.
You've got all of these Congress people over the weekend, those who did have town hall meetings, and again, those who did face their constituents with pitchforks and torches, who are learning about what it is that they voted for. Because they're admitting, Marjorie Taylor Greene today, speaking of AI, yesterday, Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she had no idea that there was a provision in that bill that prohibited regulation of AI for 10 years.
She basically admitted that she didn't read the bill.
She admitted she didn't read it. And there's another guy, I want to say Mike Flood. There was something else that he got called out on. He goes, that's in there? Come on. It's a 1,000-page.
Well, these guys are all mostly morons. They don't write these bills. These bills are written by somebody else and hand it to them and go, this is our policy now. This is the big, beautiful bill. That's all they know about it. It's a big, beautiful bill. They don't know how to defend it. Because they don't know what's in it.
They don't have no idea what's in it.
Yeah, you're right.
No idea what's in it. So again, how do you fight that? I mean, how do
they get reelected?
Reasonable people fight that?
I have no idea.
See, that's the problem.
I wish I had.
That's the problem. We don't.
I am like Brian. I wish I had more hope than I do. The only thing that you can count on is the law of unintended consequences. Yeah. That there's going to be something that comes along that works in the favor of decency inadvertently. I don't know what it is.
Thin thread for us to hang by.
It is.
But similarly, along with that, as I started thinking this early on, when Elon was sharing stuff referring to millions of Americans as the parasite class,
right?
When nobody gets more federal funds than him.
Yeah. Well, every accusation is a confession. That's the one thing we know about them for sure.
But that's how they think about us. And it's like, they think that, I don't think they need these millions of people, especially brown ones. But if you're poor, why do we need you? And why do we need, and if they need good science or healthcare, I guess they're going to get it from another country.
Yeah, let's just buy it.
Well, the other thing too to remember, and this is why I have a little more hope, is because I really think we're starting to see stuff on TV, or at least on social media and on YouTube, where like we saw in San Diego at the restaurant where workers are arrested and handcuffed, and all the people in the neighborhood that were outside.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, and I think honestly, because these people who are ICE now, they're what's left of them, they are Nazis and sociopaths, and they're going at some point. There's going to be a little blonde-haired girl who's going to get shot, and they're not going to bounce back from that. That's going to. Yeah,
you're right.
There'll be some. At some point, people are going to start throwing bricks. And there'll be a stray shot, and there'll be a little girl that's shot, and they won't be able to run from it.
Well, I hope you're right.
Mark my words.
Hey, I want to end on this quickly. Talking about how
from your lips to God's ears.
Quickly. This is shocking, but it shouldn't be shocking. According to an Axios analysis of global reputation, the U.S. global net global favorability rating is minus 1.5. Now, by comparison, the net global favorability rating of communist China is 8.8. 8.8. America is negative 1.5. So the world looks more favorably at communist China now than the United States of
Because they're
America.
more stable than the United States.
Yeah, and most of those people
True.
have never been to communist China.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we know the
Or-
people in communist China voted,
Yeah.
so we know, how they answered in the analysis.
Yeah.
So quickly, guys, anything anybody wants to plug? Any gigs coming up? Anything happening? Nothing? Nobody?
I'm me on all platforms, and check out Hanging with Dr. Z on YouTube. It's
Okay.
thoughtless.
Where you're not you, but you're.
I finally found a way to appeal to the masses. Stop being me.
Bring it down a couple species.
It's interesting when you look at the rise of like AI and ChatGPT and things like that. In the book, Planet of the Apes, written by Pierre Boulle, the reason the apes became ascendant was not because of some disease or a nuclear war. It's because humans stopped using their brains and evolution helped them along.
That's that's pretty telling.
Yeah, it's like, would you like ChatGPT to help you write this tweet? If I need ChatGPT's help with a tweet, I have nothing worth writing down in my head.
Thank you. Thank you. That's
Also, for me, you can go to my website and TomSawyerVoices.com, and you can see everybody here when they were about 20 years or 30 years younger.
Yes.
Just go to the Cobb's Comedy Club page. You'll see everybody here.
Yeah. I watch it like George C. Scott. Turn it off.
And I've been very inactive. I'm science comedian everywhere, but I've just been focused. Dana, you came in a little late, but I moved to Mexico very recently,
Really?
and that's been pretty consuming.
Are you there legally?
Why
I
did
am
you-
there, and as a matter of fact, I am legally a temporary resident.
Did you just want to get out of Dodge, or is there a reason that you moved to Mexico?
Yeah, I've always, for many years, I've wanted
No
to live in
extradition,
another
that's
country,
why.
and I was a little intimidated by it. But you know what? The balance of factors sort of shifted, where it's like maybe this is a good time to go.
My wife's cousin, who's a very good, we're very close with, just moved to Mexico City, and my wife went down. So it was fantastic.
I'm in a city called San Miguel de Allende that has a lot of American expats and expats from other countries, and it's a pretty cool place.
There are
I just walk
actually
around.
people-
I just walk around all day going, "That's not English. That's not English. In English,
right.
please."
I'm going to throw my quick plug out. My second crime thriller novel came out 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It is called Shadows of Justice, the second in my Topher Davis series. I can write it, but I can't say it. Thriller series. This one deals with a case where a middle-class white woman goes missing and a lower class on the economic scale African-American woman from East Oakland goes missing, and the difference in the disparity in how the police look at it and
Brilliant.
how it is covered by the media. And so pick it up. The reviews on it so far are pretty good. So if you get a chance to pick it, it's available.
Sounds like
anywhere
another
books are
uplifting.
sold. Yeah.
Yep. I have
It's happy
a,
talk.
Or-
It's
I have
all
another
happy
one
talk.
in a Topher Grace mystery called That 70s Murder.
I just wrote a new book called Who's Raping My Daughter Now?
I'm supposed to top that now.
and on that note,
On that note,
Dana Gould, Brian
Thanks for listening,
Malow,
kids.
Tom Sawyer, thanks for being with us. Really, really appreciate it, guys. Come back soon,
Great to see
okay?
you guys.
Always good to hear you.
Great
If
to
you would
see
like
everybody.
to support us, we would appreciate anything you can do to support us, and there are a couple ways you can do it. One is if you're watching us over YouTube, make sure that you subscribe and tell your friends about it so that they subscribe as well. We get enough folks subscribing, then we can do these live. Right now, we record on Wednesday and drop on Thursday. If you are listening to us, you can get us anywhere that you get your podcasts. Be sure that you subscribe so that you get it in your mailbox when we do, in fact, subscribe. It's in your feed. And also, go and give us a 5-star review. Go to the reviews, give us a 5-star review because it does help the people find the show. So I'll check you out next week. We'll have another distinguished panel of comics talking about more of the horrors that are going on here in this country. And till then, be kind to your neighbor. He knows where you live.